Travis Erickson of Precision Components in Oxnard, California. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So, first, I wanna get the nitty gritty of Precision Components, and I want to get your story as well. For those that don't know, what does Precision Components produce?
Essentially, the core of our business is custom mil-spec contacts. They're OEMs that make your standard M39029 contacts for your aerospace and military application. But every once in a while, there's contacts where they make them a little longer, a little smaller, whatever, lengthwise, ODs, etc., to fit a custom application. And obviously, when they're custom, there's not a lot of volume there. So that's where we fit in to the cog that, making contacts for the big OEM aerospace companies.
Okay, I'm going to sound so dumb here. Contacts, you mean like connectors?
Electrical contacts that go into circular connectors is the most common application.
Okay. And how big are these parts? What's the diameter?
We will do things, I go up to a 16 millimeter or 625 inch, but, we can go all the way down. We'll make pin diameters that are down to 13 thousandths.
Wow.
Large spectrum there.
Very interesting. And what machines do you guys use? A little background. I met Travis when we were selling. First, we were trying to sell a Deco 13, a Tornos Deco 13, and then spoke with him recently about a Deco 10, which he wasn't really interested in for the price, but it was a great opportunity to connect again. And so tell everybody what you guys are mainly running.
All Tornos across the board with 9 Deco 10s, Deco 13A, and an Evo 16, and then even an old school ENC 162.
Interesting.
Which is practically older than me.
And what so most of them are Deco 10s. And how old are these? Around like late 90s, 2000?
We have one of the first Deco 10 that ever was sold in the United States.
Really?
It was on the. We bought it at the floor show at West Tech. My dad did, circa 97 or 98 maybe, and went to the show, and then in LA, and then it was brought to us.
That is interesting. Do you guys normally buy your machines new or used?
It'd be 3 brand new, or actually 4. So half of them were bought brand new.
Okay.
Over the years, but.
And so you have an Evo Deco. When did you buy that? That's the Mercedes of Tornos, right?
Oh yeah, 2016.
Okay.
No, 17. We bought it.
How much did that cost, if you don't mind me asking?
And when you talk freight, tooling, everything, you're almost 400,000.
400,000. And so why buy that versus does Tornos make like a cheaper version of that?
Yeah, sure they do. They have their GT line, and they've had a couple offshoots of machines. Obviously their Evo is the cream of the crop. But but what it really comes down to is what we're making here. Everything is, we get maybe 1,000th tolerance on a lot of diameters, so I have to have a piece of equipment that can run that all day, every day, and not have issues.
And you can't do that on either a different Tornos or do you think, a Sugami or a Star could get that same?
You might, but never tried it. And we put it this way: we know our machines are approaching 30 years old.
That's incredible.
And and they're getting up there in hours where it's almost time to rebuild, but they're still holding. I can still run them all night. They don't move. And, so you look at it from that perspective, it's like, don't mess with something that's not broken.
Totally. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to get a little background on you and on the company. When was Precision Components founded?
And it's different, names and such over the years and formations. It's been since like 88.
88. Okay.
Yeah, I started with it. He's had some partners over the years and whatnot, but
your father started it.
Yeah, he started in 1988 and out in San Fernando Valley. And now here we are. I'm 34 almost, so. And I've been with him 11 years now, full time after finishing school.
Mm-hmm. And you're in Oxnard, California, around the corner from Haas.
Yeah, the Haas factory. I can almost go out front and see it.
Wow.
Look across the field.
You've never had any applications though where you considered buying a Haas for?
No, I mean for the parts that we make, it's Swiss turning is the only way to make them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Chuck and rechuck or anything like that, you'll never be able to make the parts.
What did you study before you came to work?
I did marketing actually.
Interesting.
Cool.
Did you always think you knew you wanted to go in the business?
Yeah. I mean, it was always in the back of my mind, but I went to Berkeley, so
nice.
It was a little tough in some of the areas that you wanted to, so you kind of had to take it for what it was, and because so many majors were impacted back in the day.
What do you mean?
Oh, it was so crowded when I went to school. It was really difficult to get into certain majors that you wanted to.
That's interesting. Like, what did you want to do?
Such as
engineering?
I would have loved to go to the business school, but the business school at Berkeley it's very difficult to get into.
That's interesting. I didn't even realize that. I figured you were in there, and then you get to choose whatever you want.
No. The way when I was there, it was okay, fine. You do your basic core classes, and then based off that, if you did okay, yeah, you can go a lot of places, but you had to be all the way at the top in order to get into the business school. And it's Berkeley, so you've got to have a perfect everything.
Oh, I'm sure. So you majored in marketing, and
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually you went into the business. Do you guys have a website?
No, never needed one.
That's a little ironic.
I actually put one together years ago, but naturally, the old computer crashed and it was stuck on there, and I couldn't recover it. I was about done with it, but haven't revisited that project yet.
But has your marketing side come out, and you said we need to promote this company, we need to market it to customers, or just to represent ourselves?
I do that with our existing set of customers, our core couple that we cater to and do a lot of work with, but here the thing is, we're not trying to go out there and conquer the world. We take our work that we get, and we make money. Our employees get taken care of well, and I mean, yeah, there's plenty of room to grow, but my boots couldn't be here, in the shop. They'd have to be on the road, drumming up business and whatnot. But we've never really needed it. Put it that way.
So, how many employees do you have?
You said myself and my dad. We only have 3 other guys.
3 other guys, and they're machinists.
No, I mean, they're, one guy, he just walks around, checks machines periodically throughout the day. And the other two, they wash, clean, tumble, and, deburr on occasion, and our light assembly that we do to make these contacts we're talking about. That's it.
What about like a quality person?
I handle all that.
So
I run our whole ISO system.
You run what system?
The whole ISO 9000 system.
So I guess, can you pretty much just leave these machines to go, or you run lights out?
Yeah, we run lights out when need be. But I got a large run, or customer wants something overnight, really expedited. Yeah, we'll let the machines run, applicable to what kind of material or whatever we're running. But yeah, if I want, I'll run 18 hours at night when we walk out of here and have 2,000 parts ready for the morning.
Have you had more employees in the past?
Yeah, we used to have a lot, really. But when things tanked in, 2009, 2010, I mean, they weren't great people. Like, we had, a lot of people sitting around deburring, cleaning parts. And then we also had 2 dedicated setup guys. But, when they wanted to, test out other opportunities, and, one guy had been here for 25 years.
Wow.
He decided he would move or, try something different. And, we just kind of let him walk. And we did that with the other guy too. Said, hey, you want to go somewhere else? That's fine. I'm not going to twist your arm, because my dad and I, we can run the machines. And we've been doing it for almost 8 years now, just myself and my dad.
Mm-hmm. How has the business changed since you joined?
I mean, started out incrementally, but, my dad used to do all the hard nitty-gritty business from day to day, watching money, making sure things are shipping, whatever. But now he's, relegated and just said, okay, I'm running the machines and setting up. Mm-hmm. You deal with all the other fun.
And do you wish that you were running the machines more and had somebody else to deal with the books and the BS?
It's coming that direction soon, because I mean, it's easier to find a quality manager or something like that than find a Swiss setup guy, that wants to work and not going to jerk you around.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would think you could find somebody good in the office to keep the books and.
Well, yeah, it's an account, but it just even then, yes, I have somebody, but still hands-on. I look at it all the time and just grind them and make sure everything matches the way I want to see it.
Yeah.
So it's still, yes, we have people set up for it, but it's I still find myself, I can't let go. I don't trust anybody to just go, oh yeah, I got it done. It's all good, whatever.
So where do you see just the machining industry going right now, as far as your business and as far as on the whole? So you're mostly aerospace then?
Yeah, I mean, there's commercial applications to these contacts. I mean, there's lots of them, but we don't do a ton of them, because when you get into the commercial stuff, they want it for pennies on the dollar, and you could overseas for commercial stuff. Whereas some of the things we make, they're you got to have DFAR material, or actually even U.S. made only material.
Oh, really? U.S.
drawings are locked in by ITAR standards, which means no foreign person can see the drawing or anything like that. So the stuff, a lot of the stuff we have is subject to those regulations. So yeah, you can't go to Asia or whatever, go necessarily to Europe to get them made.
Interesting. So I guess that makes you a lot more in demand then.
Yeah, I mean, it fits the criteria, small business and, domestic, everything across the board.
But you feel like business continues to be pretty good lately. Do you see any slowdown, or you just see it's pretty good?
It'll slow down because of the election coming next year.
Uh-huh.
Because the big boys, Boeing, whatever, Raytheon, they typically buy a ton of stuff leading up to it, and then they sit on their heels for a bit to see how things are going to shake out before they go requesting more money and, funding new projects. It's like there's just kind of a holding period usually happens, we see.
Yeah, I think we see that too. It makes sense that it would trickle down to us. Do you find that during this time you would be less likely to buy more equipment?
It's not so much that. The way I look at a lot of decisions we make it off is like, what is it, Section 179, the tax write-off code. Is that going to be around? What's the limit? Because only like 3 years ago, the limit was like 70 grand or whatever, and that doesn't do me any good to buy brand new Tornos because we've talked, it's almost 400,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't make fiscal sense to go spend, buy a machine, but you can't use it for tax purposes and expense it, as a depreciation.
What's the one of the most important things you've learned from your father, whether it's working for him or just growing up?
We work our butts off, because we're so lean as it is. We've got a bunch of machines make, we ship 100,000 parts a month, but it doesn't happen without me, him, everybody just grinding it out and getting done every month with everything that needs to be shipped on the books. It's longer days and, you're sweating.
Yeah. But it sounds like you're not interested in having more redundancy so you could, be able to be away from the shop and take a breather.
I put it that way. I mean, that's just the way this place has been ran forever, so it's hard to break a mold like that. I mean, sooner than later, I have a kid now, so I'm going to need to be able to do something, but we've gotten things dialed in even more with, less employees, fixing programs, doing the tooling correctly, fixing the machines, let alone, from things that guys have broken over the years and never said anything. But, that's kind of like one of the next steps is, actually investing in actually employees and getting some people in here that we can potentially grow and be able for me to, get some more business in here.
Okay. So you do feel like you may go a little bit that route of growing.
Oh yeah. One of these days.
No, I get it. But see, what I find interesting about you is that it seems kind of like it's like when you give somebody a half hour to do something, they can or an hour to do something, and you give them the same task for a half hour, they can often get the same task done in that time. So it sounds like that's what you've done in a way for your shop. It's like, well, we could do this with X number of people, and now we have less number of people, but we're going to get the same amount done because that's what we have to get done. Do you feel like that's a bit of your philosophy?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, it's like we had, we were at one point we had 11 total people, but they didn't really contribute in a full-fledged fashion, and or they were holding us back. In terms of machining parts correctly, where we don't have burrs, and with a Tornos, you can do a lot of operations on the machine if you want to do the legwork and the setup. And then you don't have to do a bunch of second operations and have people sit there all day, every day, cross drilling a part, or like I do for some stuff, put a logo of a customer, stamp it on the OD of parts. It's like the machine can do that, and the machine will go up every day and do what you tell it. And so, that was a bulk of things around here, is just tooling the machines up front and going, okay, this can be done now on the machine. It'll be clean. They'll come off, and all we have to do is wash the parts, and that's it. Rather than having somebody sit there for 4 more days, putting a cross drill in them and doing this, doing that, well, it's just a waste of time.
Well, that's the point, and that's the point of having a 9-axis machine.
That's exactly right. And plus, you can put a ton of tools in them. You're not limited. You can move things. While one thing's doing something, you've got the other gang coming in, getting ready to, do something else, and you keep your cycle times down.
Do you have a few parts on you can show us?
Yeah. So let's see.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty good size.
Yeah, I mean, this is, if you're going to ballpark it, it's like the size of your pinky. But it's, solder cut pin connector. This is a big guy,
What machine did you make that on?
This was made, I believe, last year. Made on the Evo.
On the Evo. Okay.
16. The OD's like almost 3/8. So you can fit it in a 10 if you wanted to, but it's kind of pushing it.
Okay. And you got anything else?
Yeah, I got this little guy. See if we can dial it in.
Maybe you need to keep it further away so you can get it a little more in focus. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this crimp barrel socket, whereas this side's got 4 slots, and it's a spring, so it'll mate. This is the female side of a connector. You get a couple dozen of these injection molded all together, and then this will be the female, and it'll mate with something like a pin on the other end that I just showed you. And like this side, they will crimp a wire in. Strip the insulation off, put a wire in, crimp it down, and that'll be a termination point.
Is one more question, or as we wind this down, you're in California. I know there's some challenges as far as labor, wildfires.
Yep.
Being in California, is that part of the reason why you have a small workforce?
It's expensive to do business, just day-to-day business, period. It's expensive.
Yeah.
State taxes, your hazardous waste permits, etc. They're all through the roof compared to what other, states are charging. Property taxes, we own our building, so, it's no small chunk of change around here.
Sure. And you told me we had to postpone the podcast a week because of the wildfires.
Yeah.
For those of us not in California, just fill us in on that. What's going on over there?
Last week, we just have these crazy wind, and it becomes 0% humidity and hurricane gusting winds, and it's just the perfect recipe for raging wildfires. And where my shop is, it's not bad, but like where our houses are, we're kind of set in like the rolling hills of the coast ish, and we've had last week. I mean, it seemed like everywhere in our county ended up having a fire.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Did
And it's just,
Did you know anybody that had to evacuate?
yeah, I knew plenty of people. You're calling around like you see, oh, it's over here today. You touch base. Like I have one of the older machinery brokers. He lives in one of the areas that went on fire. I texted him, say, hey, what's up? And he's like, yeah, we're good. It's up the road a ways. And then the other day he texted me because there was a fire next to my house.
Ugh.
So it's just like, because like my house and my dad's is close to what you may have saw on like national news. It's over by the Ronald Reagan Library. I'm 5-6 miles away from that
Oh
at
my
most.
God.
But luckily, with the winds, the way they blow it, I was blowing the complete opposite direction, but we're still pretty close.
Yeah, but the business isn't in the line of fire, really.
No, not by a long
No
shot.
pun
We're
intended.
out the, we're only what 6-8 miles from the ocean, so we're way far away from the hills. Oxnard is just all farmland.
Interesting. Well, Travis, I really appreciate you being on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to learn a little bit about going lean in California. I think a lot of people can get some perspective from that. We just get caught up in our ways of doing things, and we're caught up in our ways. You're caught up in your ways. You can always gather something from somebody else. So I thought it was really interesting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Problem.